Okay, this is part 2 of creating a basic website. Now just go ahead and if you have all your images, that's fine. From Adobe Photoshop, we did that last time. Go ahead and go to Adobe Dreamweaver and go to File New, or if it opens up with a splash page, just click, instead of New HTML, just click More. And we're going to use a template here. Not the HTML template, but make sure just HTML selected. One column fixed, centered. So basically what that is it doesn't have a fluid width to it that would change depending on how wide the browser is. This makes it a little bit more uniform across different platforms and browsers. So we just want one column for this example. So go ahead and hit create, and you'll see the template right here with all the fill text. Go ahead and click and drag around that and hit delete. If you don't see this, if you just see code, it means you're in code or split view. But go ahead and just hit design. We're just going to work in that for now, and then we're going to show you how to use the code pretty soon here. Alright, now we have this and we don't want to insert the images yet because it will link to those images on the hard drive, but the coding will be messed up where it's not linking to them relative to where the web page is. So what I mean by that is just go ahead and go to File, Save As, and I'm going to go to the name of our file here. It was balloons website, and then just save this as index.html. Alright, now you can go ahead and insert the images if you want, because then it will code it correctly where it looks in that subfolder for the images that we've saved. Alright, otherwise it will often have like this thing like, file C, and then point to whichever directory it's in. That will mess up because then when you upload your actual files to a web server, it won't find those images. It'll just have missing images. Alright, so what you want to do here is we look at our width of this. Go ahead and just hit code, and you can see all the code that they already have in here, just some pre-formatted content. Alright, for this container for where all the elements should be in. If you click here, all the information, all the content is going to be in here, and then the background is going to be there on the side. And why it works that way because if you just insert images on a page without using div tags like this, it'll just show up from the left hand side by default. And a lot of people like to keep things centered like this. They may left justify the text or the images or whatever, but having it on the center keeps it a little bit more consistent, right? But anyway, go ahead and go to code, and you can scroll up a little bit here and see where this dot container is. That's the width of our website. Now if you go back to Photoshop, and if you go to image size, you'll see that ours is 960 pixels, and this, depending on whether or not we want to have kind of margins in there with some padding, you're going to want to make it a little bit larger than that. Alright, so if our Photoshop file is 960, let's go ahead and make this say 980. Alright, so this is 960 exactly, and that would be fine if you had 0 margins. Alright, so what you'd want to do, I'll just show you really quick. Alright, so see how I have some text. Oops. Alright, here is some text. Alright, so you can see there's a padding. It doesn't really, there's a little bit of spacing in between the edges there, right? So that's a good design principle, to have some breathing room there. But if you went back here, let's say you wanted to have things flush with each other, okay? What you could do, it's not up here because it just has margin 0. Down here on the padding for 10px, go ahead and make that 0px under dot content. Go back to design to see what it does. It's got a little bit less there, but it's still got the breathing room on the side. That's because if you scroll up here, margin left, and we can go ahead and change the margin right, but then go back to design. Oh, I'm sorry. What was it? It was sorry, right up at the top. That was something different if you were floating it to the left or the right. Up here on padding hyphen right, padding hyphen left. A lot of this comes with commentary after it and explains what it's doing, those asterisks. But anyway, instead of 15px, make that 0. Alright, I'm going to make the other one 0 as well. Go back to design, and you see that it has absolutely no breathing room. There might be an instance where you want to do that if you just have images across the top and you don't want to have any kind of border around the edges. That'd be fine. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to open it up again. Alright, because I didn't want to save the changes. So go back to the code and you can see that I have the padding in there still. Okay, what I'm going to change here though is I'm going to change this to about, let's see, if we have 15 pixels on either side, that means we need to add about 30 to this. So I'm going to just make that about 990px. And if it doesn't work, we can always change it back. Alright. So let's go ahead and insert these images. Alright. So go ahead and go to File, Insert Image. Notice that we're in this directory that our HTML file is in. We don't see it because we're only looking for image files here. Go ahead and click on that subdirectory within the main directory that we have, Images. And that first file is balloon that we want to insert. Go ahead and hit OK. You do want to put some alternate text with things that are clickable, but this one's not really clickable. But it's kind of going to be the title. Well, it's not really the title because we can insert that later. This is just the navigation bar, so you can leave that one blank, or if you want, you can put balloon because there's a picture of a balloon in there. All right. So click right next to it. Go ahead and go and insert image, and then we need our first image link. This is home. I'm going to name that home, so a person with a browser that reads it aloud to them, they can hear that it's goes to the home page. Now if you click it, let's go ahead and make this link to index.html. Alright, and then under border, make that 0. Sometimes Dreamweaver, I'm not sure about CS5, but I don't think it does, but it used to add this blue border around the edge, and to avoid that you could just set the border to 0. Now if you have this image link, it's pointing to index.html, that's just going to point to the actual file that we have open, right? That's fine. We want to open in the same window, so we leave that blank. If you want it into a new window, you could do blank or new, but we'll just leave that blank for now. Alright. Go to the next one, do the same thing, and except do questions. Click on ask questions, hit OK, and then finally contact us. Alright. Then over at the edge there, hold shift and hit enter. If you look in the code, it actually creates a BR instead of a P inside brackets. That is a single space instead of a double space. Then we'll go to insert image and then insert that baseline that's right below it. Alright, and then we have our home page navigation bar, and you can double check them if you want to click on them and make sure. Alright, I'm going to actually add border 0 to those. And of course we need to add links to these two. So questions, I'm going to name it questions.html. This file does not exist yet, but we're going to create it. Alright, and then contact.html. Okay, next we need to add the text in here. Okay, so I'm going to get the support files from my desktop here, website, web design 1 files. Double click there, and then Word document, intro text. Alright. Now sometimes if you paste directly from Word, it will bring in some of the formatting that it already has. Oops. Alright. I'm just going to do edit paste, edit copy from Word, edit paste in here. I'm going to look in the code and make sure. Okay, it looks like it did not bring over the formatting from Word, so that's good. Alright, you used to have to, with some programs, you'd have to paste it into Notepad and then copy and paste it again from Notepad, but it looks like it does not have any of that formatting from Word that would be embedded in there. Now we can change the text just using Dreamweaver if you want to bold it, italicize, different things like that. Alright, but a lot of that will be in our coding again. Up at the top, the default, so you'll have this Verdana, Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. So it's a sans serif family font, and different settings there with the layout as well as the typography. All right, so this is our home page so far. All right, so go ahead and go to File, Save, and that's our home page. Now the next step, all we have to do, get your questions, click and drag around that. Right click, copy, back to Dreamweaver. We're going to replace this text, and then you could bold the top of each question if you wanted, but for time's sake I'm just going to File, Save As. Be sure you do Save As, because if you just did save, you'd save over your index, then your home page would have the content from the questions. Right? So name this questions.html, and then finally contact info. Let's grab that and paste that in. I'm going to actually hit enter a couple times to push that white area down so it looks kind of consistent across the pages. And I'm going to go Save As and then contact.html. Alright. And in fact, I have the three open here. If you see index, questions, contact, alright, they all have the same navigation. If I messed up on navigation bar right here and was pointing to say questions with a space or questions 1 or something that was different, and then I saved it and then made all these pages, I would have to go through all three and fix it. Alright, this is not a PHP based site where you can make a change to a sidebar and it reflects across the entire site. So we can go over that in a different lesson, but for this one it's just a basic web page. So with not too many so not too many web pages in it, only 3, so that's fine. You just have to open up all 3 and fix that if there's something wrong in the navigation bar. Alright, I'm going to do one more thing, and that's add a photo and show you how to flow text around it. Okay, so website design 1 files. Let me get the support files here. I'm just going to grab one of these photos and go to image size, and let's say I want a specific size. Alright, go ahead and go to crop. I need something that's 200 px, 200 pixels by 200 pixels, 72 pixels per inch. Alright, if I click and drag, it's going to keep that proportion that I need for that 200 by 200. Alright, so I'm going to do something like that. Double click, and then it resizes it to that size I want. Okay, then go to Save As and go to your balloons, website, images, and balloon 4 is fine. Okay, back in Dreamweaver, this is in the home page. Alright, just go ahead and go to Insert Image, balloon 4. Just going to call it balloon. You notice by default it has a alignment to just have the text kind of push down there and then flow out from the right hand side. Down here while it's selected, if you go to left, it will flow to the left. Alright, so if you go right here or click and drag it down there, you can have it so the text flows around it. You can also go to the right. Alright, notice though that the text is a little bit too close to the photo. Alright, so to avoid that, you can click on it and then V space and H space, just type in something like 10 pixels, whoops, sorry, just 10 for 10 pixels, and H space. So that just stands for vertical space and horizontal space. It gives a little bit of a breathing room around the edges. Alright, so I'm going to save that again. And now I'm going to go to File, Preview in Browser. Doesn't matter, Firefox, Internet Explorer, whichever. I'm just going to use Firefox for this one. And wait for this to come up. Okay, then go ahead and I'm clicking on Home. Of course, it points to the same one. Click on Questions, opens up Question page. Click on Contact, opens up the Contact page. So it's a basic web page. If you wanted to add a title for the business, Balloons and Beyond, you could also do that back in Photoshop. You could just create a title that's across the top here. You could just go to Image, Canvas Size, click this bottom arrow so it adds it from the bottom, and some pixels, maybe like 200. Alright, and that adds a little bit of a space, and you could just type in Balloons and Beyond. Maybe make it the same color or a complementary color or whatever. Let's see, I think that looks good. All right. And then you would want to, of course, maybe add some more balloons there, and just click and drag around and save that as a JPEG as well, and just insert it right above it. Okay, and actually I misspelled balloons. So spell check, not available in Photoshop, but make sure it's spelled correctly. So that's how you make a basic web page. Alright, brochure style. Pretty simple. Didn't go into detail on too many things, but it's just the basics so you can kind of get started. Alright, thank you.